Hey everybody, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with a layout for the Hip Kit Club, and this is my first layout using the 2016 December kits, and they are nothing short of beautiful, as usual. I'm going to start with this cut file. Kim Watson designed this, and it is so pretty. As soon as I saw it, I knew I had to use it. And I cut it on one of the pink paisley pattern papers. It's number 22, and it's pretty much white on one side with this light grid design on it, and then the back of it has some hexagons on it. So it looks kind of white here, but it's not solid white. And I fell in love with this background paper. It is actually the other side of this paper with all the different color squares on it. It's also from the Pink Paisley Take Me Away collection that Paige Evans designed, and it is so beautiful. I knew I wanted to use that coral side as a background just to try something different. I thought about going with a white background, but I wanted to challenge myself to go bright and just have a layout with tons of color and to really show how beautiful the colors in the kits go together. So I'm going to use some of the pieces of this square grid paper here to back some of these little flowers. Now let me just tell you that this cut file has a lot of teeny tiny parts on the flowers and the leaves and things, and so if you're going to use it, I would suggest not cutting it super tiny. This is about as small as I would cut it. I think if I would have went smaller than this, it would have had trouble cutting. I might even, if I use it again, I would probably do it larger. I mean, it worked, but you just want to make sure that your blade is sharp enough and that you have it on the right speed and setting, and your mat may not be super sticky, because it was pretty challenging peeling this off the mat because of all the intricate little parts, but I went slow and it turned out okay. So I've got everything backed that I wanted to use here. I've got yellow, pink, some of the light coral color, a light teal, and light purple. That is really cool about these kits is purple tends to be a hard color to scrapbook with, and there's a light shade in some of the pink paisley papers, and I love that. I think it's such a pretty color, and it looks really nice up next to all of these other springy type colors. Now, all I'm doing here is taking some shimmers paints from my stash to give the stems and leaves some green. And these are some creamies from my stash. These do not come in the hip kits. Like I said, these are from my stash, and I just used a little bit of the Heidi Swapp Color Shine that does come in the color kit, and it is called Sweet Mint. It is a beautiful minty green teal color. Very pretty. Okay, so I am going to do some more mixed media on my background, and I want to kind of lighten up this coral paper, and I'm just going to do that with white gesso in my hand. Now I'm rubbing it in really well and fast to smudge it in. I don't want it to be solid white. I want it to look kind of faded and hazy and cloudy, especially around the edges. I don't want any harsh edges with where the white meets the coral. So I'm doing a lot of smudging, and it looks better in person than it does now that I'm looking at it on camera. It looks softer in person. So all I'm going to do now that the gesso is dry is take some plastic packaging that has some dry green on it and start to spray some other shimmers that I have in my stash. I wanted to kind of pull the colors that I have in the die cut and add it to the background. My first thought was I need some of that dark, rich pink, and I think that looks so pretty mixed in with the coral. Now, if you've never used gesso serves as a primer, and what that does is it kind of gives a border in between the paint and your paper. So your paper is not going to rip and tear and get really soft. It's going to stay strong, and it's going to withstand the water and the liquid that you're using. You don't have to use gesso, but in this case I'm using a bright, bold color as my background, and I wanted the pinks and the teals and all these colors that I'm going to add, I wanted it to stay pretty much true to its color. And so the gesso sort of whitens it up and helps the color stay brighter, whereas if I was to add it straight to the coral, it would kind of blend in and it would not look as bright. So that's why I add the gesso. And it's just something to experiment with. If you've never used it, but you want to do something like this, just play around with it. They also make clear gesso, and if you were to use clear gesso on the coral, obviously it would stay clear, but the white, you can see here what the white does. And it looks a hot mess when you just have it like this, but once you add your pictures, your embellishments, and your cut file, it looks like a totally different layout. So I've added the pink, I've added some of the Heidi Swapp Color Shine in that sweet mint color, and now I pulled a purple, I think that's a Creamies, it's from my stash. Yes, it's called Pugnacious Purple, and that's also a Shimmers. And I definitely wanted to pull in some of the purple that's in the papers there, because it's just too pretty to not use. And at first I thought I was taking a risk by doing all of these colors on top of this coral background, but it turns out really pretty, I think, and I'm glad I went with it instead of a white background. Don't get me wrong, I love my white backgrounds, but this was just a nice change up. Now look at all the shimmer. Between the Color Shine and the Shimmers paints, you get some serious sparkle and shine there, and it's just so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to take this a step further and add some texture. Now this stencil comes in this month's color kit, and it's from Echo Park, and it's all these cute little circles. And if you remember from, I think it was a few kits ago, we got the Crushed Coral Shimmers Textures, and that's texture paste there that I'm using. It's a light coral color, and it's got some grit in it, almost like it has some sand mixed in it. And so you get this really cool, gritty texture. And all I'm doing is using my palette knife and then scraping it right on top of this stencil to add some dots and some texture. And it's gonna sort of lighten up everything and just give it a little bit of interest, because it's in the coral family. It's not the same shade as the background, so it's a little bit lighter, and so you can see it, and it just looks really cool. When you touch it, it feels kind of bumpy and rough, and it just, I think it adds a subtle something extra to the page. Okay, so here are my pictures. I printed them in a little photo strip, and I thought about cutting them up and using them, you know, kind of making them different angles and things, but then I thought, no, I'm just going to leave it in the paper strip. And I arranged it. If you notice her on the picture, the first picture, she's looking in. On the middle picture, she's looking forward, and on the picture on the right, she's looking inward. So it looks like the two pictures on the outer edges are looking in toward the middle, and I did that on purpose to have her, you know, looking at something specific. I know I talked about that in my last video, how my brain works with people in the pictures. Anyway, so I'm going to work with some placement of die cuts now, and these are from the Take Me Away Pink Paisley die cut pack by Paige Evans. Lots of that light pretty purple, the bold pink. I love that Hello You tag, and it's got a gradient ombre effect on it with a pink almost to a super light mint color. And I'm going to use that couch. When I first saw the couch, I thought, how am I going to use this on a layout? And I just decided for this to use it as a layer just to give a pop of pink. And then I cut that card in half, and it's purple, light purple with some gold on it. And I want the Hello You to stand out as sort of a small title. And this yellow and white striped frame, I'm going to use that. And to, you know, get the most out of your die cuts, if you're going to use something like this for a layer, cut it in half. As you can see here, I cut the purple card in half, and then I cut that frame in half, used half at the top and half at the bottom. So you can stretch your embellishments. If you're going to have something that, you know, half of it's covered up, you might as well cut it off so you don't waste the other half. So I'm going to add some foam here to the back of my picture so it can have a little bit of dimension there. And of course, I got a little bit of texture paste. I thought it was completely dry, but yeah, that's what I get for flipping my picture over on top of it. You think I would know better. This is not my first layout. You know, you think sometimes you know better to do things, and then you just do it, and then you're kicking yourself. Like, why did you do that? You know better. But it wiped off, so it's not the end of the world. Now, if I have a tag on my page, I like to put something in the little hole, so I did add some cord there from my stash. And that little tab I added to the left that says details, that is one of the exclusive die cuts this month. There is an exclusive die cut pack that Kim Watson designed, and they're cute little things. There's stars, there's ampersand, there's tags, there's words. or not tags, but tabs. Cute, cute, cute things. Added some pink thread over on the right and some purple there on the left, just to give another pop of purple. And I kind of play around with some of these Amy Tangerine thickers. I wanted to use them for my title, and my first thought was I wanted to use all smiles, but I didn't like the way it looked. I had that big space gapped, or a big gapped space in between the tag and the thickers, and I just didn't like the way it looked. So I took that up for now. I'll come back to the title later. I'm going to use one of the little clips with the, they're kind of like puffy charms on the end. I'm going to tuck that one up at the top. And then these are some gold acrylic pieces from My Mind's Eye Yes Please collection. I'm going to use those little hearts. Super cute. And I like that they're not perfectly straight hearts. They're kind of wonky. And I really want to use that ampersand die cut right on top of my pictures there, just because I have the space, and I think it brightens up the area and just gives it a little bit of interest. But I feel like it's kind of light because I've got a lot of that light coral color going on right there in that area, and so I'm going to add some pink thread under it. And I took it off for now, but it comes back. So I changed my mind, and I'm going to use this as my title. Beautiful. And I like the way that looks better. It kind of fits the space a little bit better, and there's not a big gap of nothingness. Now this is some of the really cool and beautiful sparkly, I guess you could call it washi. It's not washi tape. It's decorative tape, but it's definitely thicker than washi tape. But as you can see, I was still able to tear it for uneven edges, and it's by American Crafts. It's such a pretty color. It adds a nice pop of that turquoisey blue color, and it's got glitter on it. How can you not love the glitter? Beautiful. And keep making sure everything's glued down. I'm going to decide to go ahead and go with that ampersand there, and I added some pink thread under it just because I felt like it needed a pop of pink right there. Now I play around with these little pieces. These are some teeny tiny gold acrylic hearts, and I kind of had the idea of using the sequins and the acrylic pieces as like confetti kind of coming out from where all the dots are from the texture paste, and I kind of abandoned that idea at the moment. I wanted to jazz up this white thicker, so I stuck my finger in some pink shimmers and just sort of smudged it on there, and it's very light and subtle. I just didn't want it to be so stark white. I wanted it to kind of be softer. And I'm kind of deciding if I want to use some of the pink paisley sequins or not. My brain was kind of going back and forth. I went from thinking about sequins to thinking about the title, from thinking about sequins to no, I need to go back and do something to this thicker. So I thought it needed another color. So I sprayed some of the color shine onto some plastic and then took my brush and did some more smudging. And at this point I wasn't sure if I liked that at all. I thought, does this look tacky? I kept going. And what I did off camera by accident, I thought I hit record, was I broke out from my stash some Heidi Swapp gold color shine and splattered some and smudged some on Beautiful, and you'll be able to see it better in the close-ups. So there's some gold on there. And I did decide to go with sequins. I added some yellow and some of the purple sequins from Take Me Away just around the circle at the top and the bottom a little bit there. And this is another one of the die cuts from Kim Watson. I stamped the date on it, and then I'm going to add the word sweet, and that's from the My Mind's Eye acrylic stickers there. And I just like the way that looks, kind of overlapping Beautiful. And the last thing I'm going to do is add in some lines after everything gets out of my way. And then I'm going to add the journaling, and I think that it's going to wrap it up. I like how this turned out. I was kind of hesitant at first, like I said, to go with such a bold background, but I think it turned out great. I think the background work and the stuff that I did to the thicker really just made it pop. I love the flowers. That cut file is gorgeous. I did add a little bit of hot pink stitching there. You can see it right there. But look at the texture from that texture paste. Super, super cool. And I love this die cut. I hope you check it out. It should be, if not now, it should be very soon loaded into the forum. So make sure you get yourself an account in the Hip Kit member forum so you can get all of these wonderful die cuts. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I had a lot of fun putting this together. I hope you get your kits soon and keep posting your projects so we can see them. So thanks for watching and have a great day.